Remember that I've been trying to keep you up to date on this area growing back in from my winter damage that kind of happened there. So here's another look at kind of what's going on. I'll get out of the way here. You can see here, this is a spot about the size of my hand or so. We still got a ways to go there, but it has thickened up quite a bit. It has kind of spread quite a bit already. Look at something like this area here, you can tell how much this plant has been starting to move into these other areas. So some of these bigger spots are going to take a little bit more time. So this right here was the area with the vole damage, and you can see how much all this stuff has come back. I could tell earlier in the spring that most of those roots were still intact, kind of the crown of the plant was still there. So most of this is still just starting to get up to the regular height of the rest of the grass, but it is pretty much filled back in. And I think once we get some really good growth going here, once this gets up to this height, you won't notice anything happened at all. This needs to be fixed. 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 That needs to be fixed. A lot of people comment in my videos as well that they think that this whole section here is just a bunch of weeds that is growing and I need to do something with it. But it's actually strawberries. And we used to have strawberries all through this bed, but they're kind of a little bit finicky sometimes, and it got kind of swarmed over by a bunch of weeds last year, so we cut them down, kind of trying to let them regenerate, and they'll just spread all throughout here, but right now they're just kind of starting for the season again. I'd also say probably what I learned the most from my renovation on what not to do is probably don't broadcast your seed all over the place and get it all over in your landscape beds. Check this out. So what would probably be better there is just really use a drop spreader instead of broadcasting that all over the place. But I'll be able to fix it. I just have to do a little bit of more work here to try to remove all that grass from there. And you know, it's pretty painful for me to actually pull out good grass or spray it or whatever, so just keep that in mind too. Here's an update as well on these spots that I had from the snow mold damage. So you can see this was one of them right here. You can still kind of tell where it was, but we can also tell that we've got a little bit of bluegrass in here because this is spreading and filling this in. Now if I had just a ryegrass lawn here, it might fill a little bit of this in, but it's still not going to look as thick as it's getting into this section right here. So we know we have a little bit of bluegrass filling in there, and I'm pretty happy with the way that this is going to hopefully fill all that in without me really doing anything to it, but continually mowing, adding a little bit of products here, and fertilizing properly. Actually, this is a perfect example of it. So this is my ryegrass front yard, mainly ryegrass. I did add a little bit of blue in there when I seeded it, but because it was mainly rye, I'm pretty sure it mostly took over at that point. But here's a spot of damage from some snow mold that you can see there's just a couple of little pieces in here, and those might leaf out just a little bit, but more than that, it's really not a whole lot that's filling in, which is telling me that this is basically what you're going to get with rye or some kind of bunch type grass that you need to fix. So what we're going to have to do here is I'm probably just going to lay a tiny amount of seed in there, put a little peat moss on top of it, and let that come in on its own. But this is a good example there between that other section to right here on kind of the differences and what you can expect with Kentucky Blue versus a rye, or if you have a taller lawn and you got fescue, if you've got spots that aren't filling and you have fescue as well, they don't really spread like bluegrass does. So there are a few fescue and rye varieties now that are saying that they will spread. I haven't had a chance to really test any of those things. Here's one more area as well that I had a few problems from last winter time. Just didn't fill in all that much around here. So the benefit though of having the ryegrass and fixing little spots like this is that I should be able to throw a little bit of seed in there, put some peat moss on like I said, and that'll probably be up in about 4 days or so if we get some constant moisture on it and the germination temps are good. So there's one benefit to it actually. I don't know if I've talked about it this year or not too, but what happens with these earthworms is they get these little mounds when they come up, and you can see how muddy it is. And then especially when the ground's wet and we've been getting a lot of rain, when you run that over with the mower, it just causes a little spot like this, and there's a bunch of them around here. So that's kind of a pain. You don't notice it when you're mowing taller, but You do notice it a lot when you're mowing shorter, and it kind of smothers the grass around it too. Can't wait to have this thing organized so that I can actually get to things without moving other things around constantly. That's not good. Bluegrass, ryegrass, jumpstart bluegrass. Alright, so I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. I'm gonna take that little tiny spot, I'm gonna put some jumpstart bluegrass in there. That's supposed to be germination time of like 10 days or so, something like that. And then I'll fix the other little bit larger area with some of my regular rye mix that I have here somewhere. I believe this is it right here from last year. This is the ryegrass mix that I was using, so I'll use that for the other area. Check this out. That would be from a mole. I put a trap in here the other day and I didn't catch anything, and so I keep pushing this down every day. Trail keeps coming back and my trap's not doing anything, so it's kind of making me a little upset right now, I'll be honest with you guys. I thought I got rid of them. They were back in that one section over there by the shed last time, but I'm gonna try this trap again. I've never caught anything in this trap, and so many people have told me like these traps work so well. This little piece in here is supposed to actually go into the tunnel there, and then they trigger it, but I've never had any luck with it, so we'll see what happens. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this too, but look at this. We still have some of that straw from last year still in here, still really kind of preventing things from growing in this area. I'm not really super impressed with that straw and how it turned out. Alright, so that's the Jumpstart Bluegrass. I'm putting that in a few spots, and then we will be using the regular mix of ryegrass that I used last year. This is all stuff from Seed Superstore, and I've had really good luck with that. So we'll add a little bit more of the ryegrass to a couple of those other spots, see kind of what the differences are, germination and all that stuff. It's pretty much just as easy as that. It's just like fixing divots at a golf course. I'm gonna spray just a touch of humic acid on there now too, get the watering going a little bit, and also give it a little bit of humic. I'm use that growth booster again on the spots that I'm trying to grow in, and a little bit on this mold damaged area. I wonder how this spark plug wire got plugged back in. I know I removed that in one of my last videos when I was sharpening those blades.
So this is a 14 millimeter. So you never want to do this with your blades without taking the spark plug off. I watched a video of Mr. Ryan Knorr sharpening his blades or changing his blades or doing something that he didn't take the spark plug out, and that engine could start going on him. And so he failed on that one.
See, I got called out by this guy named Connor Ward in one of his latest videos, and he was like, "Oh, Ryan, you didn't remove the spark plug wire, you failed." Because Connor loves safety so much, and because he's such a safety Sally, I decided not to add that clip into the video. Here's the actual video clip for you, Connor, and I also didn't film it straight on so you could see whether I actually removed the spark plug wire or not. That way it makes you wonder,
Because as you're turning that, the engine could fire up and cut your finger off or your hand off. So I win this round because I